so grateful to be here, to be strong enough to walk these hills. But more importantly, it's to give something back.
The Princess of Wales announced she conquered the legendary Three Peaks Challenge last weekend. Catherine scaled the tallest mountains in England, Scotland, and Wales within 24 hours to raise cancer charity funds. The public deeply admires Catherine, as she genuinely sought to support this vital charitable work during a period of major royal transition. Now, the Princess Royal has reportedly delivered a sharp and logical defense of the modern monarchy by highlighting a glaring contrast at the very core of the family. During tense private discussions about where non-working royals are permitted to travel, Princess Anne has privately expressed deep admiration and formal respect for Catherine, the Princess of Wales. Even while facing a tough, intensely private recovery journey after her cancer diagnosis, Catherine chose to step back into the public eye this season. Her graceful appearance at the Wimbledon tennis tournament, along with personal hikes in the rugged British wilderness to finish her grueling Three Peaks mountain trek, displayed a genuine, unvarnished simplicity that deeply resonated with Princess Anne. For many, this quiet resilience represents the absolute height of royal duty. It proves that real security is not built on the intimidating force of heavily armed, private security details, but is instead anchored by the genuine affection and protective goodwill of the British public. This standard of quiet service has now become the primary tool used by Princess Anne to criticize the highly volatile media campaign playing out across the Atlantic. According to senior palace quarters and high-ranking officials, the Princess Royal has pointed to Catherine's inspiring conduct to deliver a highly damaging critique of the recent actions taken by Prince Harry. In a world where a recovering future queen can travel through public spaces with minimal security protocols, the growing panic and aggressive legal demands coming from the Duke of Sussex are viewed by the royal family as not just unseemly, but completely disconnected from the actual realities of state security. This stark contrast is both undeniable and absolute. On one side is a brave, recovering mother, representing the timeless, steady duties of the crown. On the other is a healthy, self-exiled prince, using a well-funded public relations machine to claim he is in grave danger in his own homeland. The main trigger for this deep palace outrage was the deliberate leak of a highly sensitive and comprehensive threat evaluation report to the British network ITV, specifically to their royal correspondent, Chris Shipp. This report, which was shown to the public as a top-secret government intelligence file, claimed that the Duke of Sussex was facing at least 6 high-priority terrorist plots, with 5 of those threats supposedly coming from inside the United Kingdom. However, careful analysis by senior palace officials and legal experts soon established that this data was not created by the Metropolitan Police or official intelligence agencies. Instead, it was a highly subjective brief written by the Sussexes' own private security firm, an enterprise that reportedly cost them about $3 million annually. To Princess Anne, the timing and style of this broadcast were clear proof of a calculated public relations campaign designed to stir up international anxiety, sway public opinion, and pressure the British Home Office for help. The real motive behind this media push goes much deeper than securing protection for a short 5-day trip to the United Kingdom. High-level legal analysis within the royal household reveals that the highly aggressive, ongoing lawsuits filed by Prince Harry against the State Protection Committee known as RAVEC are actually driven by a very calculated, long-term financial motive. The Duke is not just asking for local police escorts during his upcoming July visit. Rather, his ultimate legal goal is to officially regain taxpayer-funded, permanent global security protection under the statutory laws of the British state. If someone secures a permanent protection mandate from RAVEC, that special status offers massive security benefits worldwide. This would grant them a taxpayer-funded security team that protects them forever, no matter where they travel around the world. For his California brand, winning this status would dump their massive $3 million annual security bill straight onto the British taxpayer, keeping their own corporate balance sheets completely clean. Princess Anne reportedly targeted this exact issue with biting irony, calling the Sussexes' manufactured security panic a cheap cover-up for their crashing business revenues. The Princess Royal pointed out that while Harry and Meghan continually flood the global media with claims that Britain is far too dangerous for their little children, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, their actual travel history tells a completely different story. The self-exiled couple has regularly made high-profile, commercial trips to parts of the world with dangerously high crime rates and deep unrest, including their heavily publicized tours of Nigeria and Colombia. This massive contradiction exposed their glaring hypocrisy to senior officials at the palace, proving their refusal to visit Britain without tax-funded armed guards has nothing to do with any real fear for their personal safety. Instead, it is a calculated grab for royal status and easy money to prop up a media brand that is rapidly bleeding cash in North America. Behind palace doors, the mood has completely hardened into an unyielding front, led by the sharp focus of Princess Anne. After private security details were leaked to the British press, the Princess Royal stepped in with emergency high-level meetings to bring back strict discipline. Famous for her completely no-nonsense approach to royal duty, Princess Anne has become the family's ultimate anchor, refusing to let emotional blackmail disrupt the legal rules and boundaries of the state. In a series of tense meetings with top royal advisors, she completely dismantled Harry's manufactured grievances. She exposed his recent behavior not as a real safety crisis, but as a calculated attempt to exploit a vulnerable family during a difficult time. The core of Anne's argument is the massive contradiction between Harry's constant demands for state protection and his own highly reckless behavior. During an emergency meeting with top lawyers and family, the Princess Royal brought up the exact words from the Duke's highly controversial tell-all memoir. She argued that if Harry really faces a massive threat from global terror groups, it is the direct result of his own greedy commercial choices. He chose to brag about his military body count in Afghanistan, boasting about taking out 25 enemy fighters as if they were just chess pieces. He knowingly put a massive target on his own back, just to drive up global book sales. Princess Anne pointed out with icy logic that the state cannot pay millions to fix a security nightmare that he completely brought on himself for corporate profit, demanding that taxpayers fund his private global army to protect someone who compromised his own safety for a multi-million-dollar book deal is, in her view, a display of absolute and unchecked arrogance. The princess made it clear that the king and the government must stand totally united against this shocking behavior. She insisted that real royals must accept the consequences of their own actions, instead of demanding the state bend its rules to shield a runaway royal from the fallout of his own profitable books. Furthermore, Princess Anne completely ripped apart the carefully spun victim story coming out of California about how dangerous Britain supposedly is, completely crushing their claims of a hostile public environment. She pointed straight to the daily lives of other working royals as absolute proof of the country's safety. She noted that while Harry claims he cannot set foot in Britain without an army of private mercenaries, other members of the, quote, royal family continue to work in public with a simple dignity that shows they fully trust the British people. To prove it, she pointed to her own family, her husband, children, and grandchildren, who move freely alongside the Duke of Wessex and his household. These royals, whether working or retired, constantly mingle with ordinary folks in local communities. They walk down public streets and visit local shops without any flashy, heavy-handed state security. They stroll through United Kingdom towns and countryside, easily blending into the daily rhythm of ordinary British life. The Princess Royal insisted that this open, unguarded relationship with the public is the crown's true foundation. By trying to hide behind an impenetrable, taxpayer-funded fortress, the Duke of Sussex isn't just protecting himself. He is cutting himself off from the very people who give the monarchy its authority. He is building a wall that suggests ordinary British citizens are a threat to his family. Princess Anne reportedly sees this dramatic paranoia as a flimsy excuse to hide a much harsher corporate reality. Inside the palace, financial analysts have long been monitoring the shaky economic health of the Sussex brand in America. They have noted a sharp drop in major entertainment deals alongside massive business spending. The Princess Royal argued that this relentless legal battle for taxpayer-funded security is actually a financial move disguised as family duty. Facing a massive $3 million annual bill for private security in America, the California-based household knows that securing a permanent state protection deal would erase their biggest business liability. Princess Anne's firm stance has forced the royal household to judge this legal war with cold financial scrutiny. She insists that royal prestige and public funds should never serve as a free subsidy for an independent commercial brand. The clever, legal strategies designed by the palace have built a strong shield against outside manipulation, thanks to the tough stance of Princess Anne. As a senior counselor of state and perhaps the most disciplined royal of her generation, the Princess Royal has constantly shifted focus from emotional family drama to the hard facts of constitutional duty. During long, intense meetings with the inner cabinet, She has stressed that the active monarchy must project strength and duty, not serve as a stage for personal drama. Her reasoning has shaped a tight plan to completely contain the upcoming July visit, turning a highly publicized, emotional family reunion into a quiet, strictly controlled legal event. At the heart of Princess Anne's argument is her fierce defense of the Security Committee, which operates independently under the control of the British Home Office. The Princess Royal has warned the King that bypassing or overriding this committee's clear decisions would be a dangerous constitutional error. She has argued that when the Security Committee decided the Duke surrendered his right to free state protection by permanently moving to North America, they made a firm legal decision backed by deep threat assessments. For the King to personally fund a backup, elite private security force using the personal revenues of the Duchy of Lancaster is, in Princess Anne's sharp view, a highly dangerous move that looks terrible for the modern monarchy. The Princess Royal has argued fiercely that using private duchy wealth to build a custom, multi-million-pound private army for a non-working, self-exiled royal looks incredibly hypocritical to the public. It suggests that even though the state has ruled his security demands unnecessary and legally wrong, the King's personal wealth can simply be used to bypass the nation's legal rules. Princess Anne has stood firmly against any such financial compromise, arguing that it badly damages the hard-won credibility of the monarchy. She insists that the royal household must stay completely open and accountable to the public, proving that personal favoritism and family feelings cannot override official rules and royal discipline. To strengthen her defense, Princess Anne has held up the Prince and Princess of Wales as the ideal model for the monarchy's future. She has pointed out that the true strength of the House of Windsor does not depend on aggressive security details or constant demands to be shielded from everyday people. Instead, it relies on a natural bond of genuine affection and respect between royals and the people. Princess Anne believed that genuine security is an intangible asset earned through years of quiet, dignified public service, a standard the Prince and Princess of Wales proved with absolute clarity during their own times of immense personal and systemic vulnerability. Contrasting this disciplined, quiet dedication with the chaotic and litigious demands coming from the California household, Princess Anne successfully shifted the inner palace consensus toward a policy of strict, non-negotiable containment. She argued that allowing the Duke of Sussex to rebuild any physical or administrative foothold inside the historic sanctuaries of the working monarchy would pose an unacceptable, permanent risk to the survival and dignity of the crown. Her direct interventions ensured that the entire royal communications team and senior palace officials remained completely unified in their unprecedented operational blockade. This comprehensive information quarantine was built to starve their private media enterprise of the publicity needed to sustain its global commercial empire, ensuring that the historic, ancestral institutions of the state remain fully protected from outside manipulation. This firm position, held by Princess Anne, forced the royal inner circle to confront the massive economic dimensions of the Sussex public relations campaign. As a highly rigorous and practical administrative overseer, the Princess Royal continually pointed out the massive geographic contradictions in the public statements made by the California couple. During tense discussions with top state advisors, she highlighted the profound irony of a private media brand constantly begging the British courts for specialized police protection due to extreme safety concerns, while simultaneously organizing major commercial and humanitarian tours to highly unstable, dangerous foreign regions with severe crime rates. Princess Anne used this exact pattern as clear proof that the Sussexes' dramatic narrative of constant danger is entirely manufactured. She noted that during high-profile tours to Nigeria and Colombia, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex were completely willing to navigate complex, international environments without the official, state-funded protection they aggressively demand from the United Kingdom. This clear willingness to take real risks in unstable countries for the sole purpose of building global media buzz exposed their local legal battles as a mere PR strategy. For the Princess Royal, these high-profile trips prove that their endless lawsuits against the Home Office have nothing to do with physical safety, but are instead a relentless pursuit of royal status and symbolic validation. Furthermore, Princess Anne voiced a sharp condemnation of the financial motives behind their endless legal demands. Senior courtiers tracking the commercial empire of the North American Sussex brand have observed a steady collapse of major corporate deals alongside an unsustainably high level of monthly overhead. The Princess Royal argued with absolute clarity their aggressive pursuit of permanent, taxpayer-funded global security is actually an economic strategy disguised as a family crusade. Facing an estimated $3 million annual security bill in the United States, the California couple is fully aware that winning their case in London would permanently dump their largest private expense onto the British taxpayer. Princess Anne's decisive intervention ensured the palace administration views this entire dispute through a lens of strict financial scrutiny, permanently blocking any move to weaponize the crown's resources as a corporate subsidy for their private business. This uncompromising stance from Princess Anne was felt most strongly in her total, unconditional support for the strict defensive measures taken by Prince William and Earl Spencer. Serving as a highly strategic senior advisor, the Princess Royal continuously monitored the changing tactics of outside media companies, knowing that historic properties linked to the royal family always represent high-value targets for corporate and media exploitation. When the administrative team of Althorp Estate announced a total, non-negotiable physical lockdown of the historic home on July 10th and 11th, Princess Anne immediately showed her full support for this defensive move, calling it a critical and necessary step to protect royal heritage. Leaked internal messages reveal that the Princess Royal fully understood and supported why this total blockade was put in place. She knew that the original plans drawn up by the California film crew aimed directly at the Oval Lake, the deeply private resting place of Diana, Princess of Wales. It was meant not as a private family memorial, but as a key scene for a commercial documentary. The filmmakers had requested special clearance for a highly advanced camera crew to capture the grandchildren closely connecting with the memory of their late grandmother. To Princess Anne, the pitch was an unacceptable violation, trading quiet family dignity for cheap corporate entertainment, which demanded a swift and decisive counterstrike. The Princess Royal forcefully argued that the decisive steps taken by Earl Spencer and Prince William were fully justified in blocking a staged publicity stunt by throwing up an airtight security wall, setting up guards at every main gate, and keeping a strict no-fly zone active for all unauthorized drones. The Spencer estate easily shut down the high-tech recording equipment brought by the outside film crew. Princess Anne felt a grim satisfaction that this defensive shield ruined the commercial footage, needed by global streaming platforms to justify massive multi-million-dollar deals. Without the beautiful background of Althorp and the crossing of the Oval Lake, the central narrative of the project lost its power, proving that the wall guarding the late princess's legacy can easily stand up to corporate greed. Furthermore, Princess Anne used this moment to send a clear warning to the king about the real threats working against the royal family. She pointed out that the total collapse of the filming plan at Althorp shows exactly how the monarchy must protect its heritage in the digital age. The Princess Royal argued that allowing private, non-state properties filled with family history to be systematically sold out by exiled family members sets a dangerous precedent that ruins the authority of the crown. By standing in complete solidarity with her nephew and her cousin, Anne has helped draw a permanent, non-negotiable line, keeping the family's deep history under the total control of the monarchy instead of letting it be sold to global entertainment companies. This united front brought a massive wave of relief to the inner circle of the family, proving that the future of the monarchy rests in very disciplined hands. Princess Anne emphasized that the coordinated defense of Althorp showed a sharp understanding of modern media plays, proving that once you take away the financial payoff, the supposed security risks around the family simply melt away. The warning coming from the palace is loud and clear. The historic core of the monarchy will continue to show absolute unity and strength, using every legal and private property right to ensure that ancestral final resting places stay strictly sacred, permanently closed to the intrusive demands of American commercial branding. Solving this crisis has permanently sealed Princess Anne's reputation as the most practical, level-headed anchor inside the modern House of Windsor. Standing uniquely as a senior sister to the king and a trusted aunt to the younger royals, she has carried a heavy emotional and historic weight, serving as the ultimate peacemaker between clashing family factions. In a series of deeply private, honest conversations within the family circle, she showed the rare, tough courage to directly challenge the king's soft-hearted ways while standing shoulder to shoulder with the Prince and Princess of Wales. But beneath this tough, protective shield lies a deeply painful family truth. As a caring aunt who watched her young nephews grow up through hard times, Princess Anne reportedly feels deep sorrow over the sad self-destruction and fall of Prince Harry's royal role. That sadness has turned into a fierce anger over the greed, driving the California household's constant media deals. During the final reviews of their summer containment plans, the Princess Royal reportedly brought up several tough questions about how Prince Harry completely lost his way under the spell of Hollywood branding. Princess Anne harbored a deep sense of outrage upon realizing that the Duke of Sussex had allowed the sacred, tragic memory of his late mother, Princess Diana, to be systematically turned into corporate raw material for commercial gain. She questioned how a son who once marched behind his mother's coffin in dignified grief could let her emotional legacy shrink into a calculated marketing scheme for his wife's lifestyle brands, including lifestyle and fashion initiatives designed to sell merchandise under the thin disguise of a historical tribute. To the Princess Royal, this constant monetization of family trauma represents the ultimate unforgivable boundary crossed. She argued with clinical precision that when the intimate, private grief of an ancestral line is packaged and sold to streaming giants for multi-million-dollar entertainment deals, the true human value of that history is permanently ruined. Princess Anne pointed out that the strategic use of Diana's aesthetic, whether through the staging of look-alike public appearances or the calculated threading of her humanitarian themes into retail product lines, is not an act of authentic remembrance. Instead, it is a deliberate, cynical branding strategy engineered in California to maintain relevance for an enterprise facing a steady decline in financial viability. This deep ethical decay has provided the ultimate justification for the strict, non-negotiable isolation enforced by the inner council of the palace. Princess Anne helped cement the unyielding rule that when family loyalty and private memories are priced against commercial paychecks, the absolute loss of royal status and physical access is the only logical consequence. She maintained that the monarchy cannot under any circumstances validate a relationship where proximity to the sovereign is constantly harvested as raw content for future books or television specials. This uncompromising stance is not driven by personal bitterness or a desire for revenge, but out of an absolute necessity to preserve the long-term dignity and moral authority of the crown against the volatile demands of global show business. The resulting reality has left the Duke and Duchess of Sussex completely separated from the working machinery of the monarchy, occupying a position of permanent, powerless exile on the absolute outer edges of the kingdom. As the intense behind-the-scenes crisis of the summer draws to a definitive close, the strict boundaries set by Princess Anne have successfully turned a potentially chaotic public relations disaster into a tightly controlled, isolated legal matter. The final lesson echoing from the heart of the palace is absolute and unyielding. The performance of royal continuity and the protection of the historic line of succession will go on without a single moment of domestic interruption, because the senior leadership has chosen to prioritize the permanent stability, the dynasty over the fleeting demands of personal sentiment, ensuring the foundation of the crown remains completely unshakable for generations to come.